everybody. Welcome to BO Boys for Monday, June 10th. Fuck it. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. So, Clayton, this was a historic box office weekend. We got to ride the ride all over again. Historic weekend. So, to match that weekend, we needed to bring in a historic guest. So, joining us today on the BO Boys, longtime friend, collaborator, and this person will be giving us a new perspective on the box office this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Bosu is here. Welcome, Steve, to the BO Boys.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you, Clayton. I'm just so glad to be here. Glad to be on BO Boys. Probably one of the longest tenured BO people. Really, certainly historic.
Yes. Yeah. You have been with the BO Boys since the beginning.
Yeah.
In fact, just to give perspective on Steve will be giving us perspective on this episode. Steve is coming to see the BO Boys live. He lives in New York City. He will be seeing not just the New York show, but he's coming all the way out to California to see the Los Angeles BO Boys on October 8th. This is a BO Boy extraordinaire. So very excited to finally have you on the air, Steve. This is huge. So, I mean, you're going to be giving us perspective on what happened this weekend with this Bad Boys 4 Ride or Die. So let's first, before we get into breaking it down, let's get into a plow for the box office weekend of Friday, June 7th. Clayton, take it away.
Number one, Bad Boys Ride or Die made $56 million in its first frame. Number two, the Garfield movie made $10 million. Sorry, I'm stumbling because this only dropped 29%. Wow. It lost 149 theaters. It's at $68.6 million in its third weekend. Number three, If made $8 million, down only 24%.
Wow.
It lost 201 theaters. It's at $93.5 million in its fourth weekend. Number four, Newbie. Ooh, The Watchers made $7 million in its first frame. And rounding out the top five, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes made $5.4 million, down 40%. It lost 295 theaters. It's at $149.7 million in its fifth frame. And quickly, I know the big story is Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm.
But number six, we got to call it out. Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, made $4.2 million, dropped from second place, a 61% drop in its third weekend, but then also hemorrhaged theaters, dropping 880 theaters. It's at $58.7 million. This is, it was a bomb the first weekend, but now this is officially a disaster.
Yes. I mean, this move, it is clear that this was not a fault of marketing, or this was a issue where people did not want this movie at all. They hate this movie. They despise this movie.
Yes.
And we're seeing that in the drops, and we're seeing that in the holds of things like a Fall Guy. Fall Guy, not a hit, but it is, the holds have been solid. 36% drop in its sixth weekend. Furiosa, that 61% drop in its third weekend show. People despise the idea of this. They have no interest in it. Whatever passion they have for it is just pure disdain. And this is a disaster, and this should be treated as such. Furiosa is not just a movie that, is a swing and a miss. This is a disaster. And people did not want this. Steve is just shaking his head. Steve, have you seen this Furiosa? Did you have any interest in this movie?
I'm not the biggest Mad Max franchise kind of guy, so this wasn't on my radar to begin with. So I wasn't going to be running out and buying a Furiosa ticket opening weekend. So no, I was not going to see this movie, but it also was not for me. So. But I am surprised, as I'm sure we all are, at just how abysmal this box office has been for this film. Fury Road was a big hit. People seem
Mhm.
to love it. Yeah, this completely blindsided me, and I just didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, with talking about Furiosa, and we shouldn't linger on this stinker of a movie, because what
No,
we're here to talk about
it's a historic
is a
movie.
historic weekend,
Yeah.
but also what people want at the theater.
Right.
Furiosa is not what they want for a myriad of reasons. What they want is movie stars in vehicles that they want to see them in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Will Smith and that is Martin Lawrence
Yep.
in a Bad Boys movie.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, let's get into it. This movie, and now we're recording this on Sunday night, full transparency, Sunday night. I would not doubt that when the actuals come out on Monday, that this movie will end up making more than the 56 million we're seeing it at right now. I
Mhm.
do think this, I mean, based on the way it's risen through the weekend, I bet when the actuals come out on Monday, this could be at 57 or 58 million. But as of
Mhm.
now, it's at 56 million. And guys, we lived it again. This is Bad Boys for Life opening in January 2020. We saw that weekend where all weekend, wait, Friday, it's at 50 million. Saturday, it's at 56. By the time we got to Sunday night, Monday, that had opened to 62. And that is what happened this weekend. It rose and rose all weekend. And I mean, I think today we've learned a lot that we've got to talk about. And some of us have some mea culpas that we have to make for things that we've been
Absolutely.
saying. So
And
we
one
will get to mea culpa during this show. There will be
and
several mea culpas.
and
Not from
and
Steve. Steve has nothing to mea
No,
culpa for.
no.
and so with that, I do want to say one thing, because I am
Mhm.
going to mea culpa, obviously. But the one thing I will not mea culpa is when I said last episode that by Friday we would know what this movie is.
Mhm.
That to some people they would say, but no. But you got to think we did by Friday know that this was another ride. This was
Right.
this thing is going to keep going up and up. So we did, in fact, by Friday know
Mhm.
that we were back on that ride.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I am correct in that. That is the one thing I will say I'm correct on.
Okay. But you will mea culpa for several other things that you
Oh,
have said and done later in this episode.
Historic episode for many reasons, but for those specifically.
Yeah. So I want to start with something here because this movie, huge hit, huge overperformer, went over expectations. It showed that Will Smith is, I mean, and this is the great, the legend, the icon, our tribal chief, Scott Mendelson said this today. We're throwing our ones up for the tribal chief, that Will Smith is as much a movie star now as he was in 2020 and in the decade before that, in the sense that, yeah, if you put Will Smith in a movie now where he's just playing a lawyer, it probably doesn't open. If he's just playing a cop, it doesn't open. But if you put Will Smith in one of his big franchises, it's going to be huge. If you put him in an Aladdin movie where he's the attraction along with an IP, it's going to be huge. He's still a movie star. So I think we could say right now the slap meant nothing. So, Steve, this is one of the areas where we need to bring you in to give us that perspective, because Clayton and I, we both thought the slap meant a lot. We thought that Will Smith, and I could see, Steve, you're ready to learn us something. We're going to sit under the learning tree. Steve Osu,
Yeah.
and you're prepared to speak for your entire community. Is that fair? That you
I'm
will speak?
prepared. I'm prepared to speak for Black Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So Steve, tell us, the slap, did it ever mean anything? You also gave me an interesting piece of information that I never knew about the slap. If you could tell the audience that. Tell us what the slap meant in terms of Will Smith ever losing his stardom.
Okay. I think we need to back up.
Okay.
To that night, to the Oscars,
Mhm.
to Chris Rock presenting what is it? Presenting, I forget what it was.
Documentary, I think.
Oh, right, because then Questlove won documentary of the year. Yeah. So we back up then, and if you recall, in the moment, people in the crowd are laughing, they're giggling, they're tittering, like they think it's a bit, right? They think it's a joke. They see Will Smith, they see Chris Rock making jokes, they see Will Smith walk up and slap the guy, then sit down and start screaming at him, right? So in the moment, even like Hollywood elite, the folks who were sitting there live, they didn't think it was real. And
the Illuminati, would you say the Illuminati?
Perhaps the Illuminati, the Freemasons, whoever's actually out there pulling the strings. Everyone thought it was a bit that was organized to, I don't know, boost Chris Rock's ticket sales or what have you. Now I wasn't on this boat. I saw it live and I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I knew it was real then, but immediately after the slap, it was a big question in a lot of people's minds. Is this real? Did Chris Rock actually get slapped by Will Smith? Or was this like some kind of elaborate AI stream? So no, there was a lot of buzz about that, a lot of talk about whether we should actually buy this as something that did happen. And if you go online, you go into these spaces, if you want to call it Black Twitter, you can call it that.
And I, just to be clear, I don't have access to that, right?
No, you don't. No. What access you might have is probably extremely limited, if any. I mean, I've tried to vouch for you guys. I'm a big fan, but I'm just one guy, so there's nothing to do about this. So you guys' access is specifically limited.
We see what Black Twitter wants us to see, which is very little. Which is fair and how it should be.
Because these are our spaces, and I'm not speaking for all black people here. I mean, I'm speaking for Black Twitter specifically.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So there was a lot of talk about whether the slap was real or not. This big debate, yada yada yada. You go a couple of weeks, and then everyone realizes, okay, this slap actually happened. This was a real event. Chris Rock did get slapped, and there is a bit of criticism for Will Smith. No one likes to see people they like get slapped, right? Like Chris Rock. We love Chris Rock. I love Chris Rock. So, and I still do. I'm a huge, still a huge fan. Special. Love all the specials. So there is a bit of who does Will Smith think he is? Like slapping Chris Rock. That's not right. But then time marches on. All things must pass. The seasons go on. What people realize is that, you know what? We love Chris Rock, but we also love Will Smith. Like we are not going to let this man go. We are not going to let the powers that be cancel Will Smith. So I think this is really like people coming out in force. And you know what? I don't know if you guys have the demographic data. I'd imagine there was a significant number of black people who went to see this movie. But
I mean, I have this right in front of me. Let's see. It is actually not right in front of me. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong article. I'll get it right now.
Steve, you are right.
Yeah.
53% male. That's not what we want. Okay, here's the demos we want. So, oh wait, sorry, don't have a 30. Okay, here it is. Demos are 36% black and 29% Hispanic and Latino. And I think that may have changed by it's 36%. So this was This was, there you go. This was the black audience coming out in force and saying, we stand with Will Smith, forgive and forget. I mean, you're someone who's saying you like and love Chris Rock, his specials. I'm going to throw this out there, though. I do feel like the biggest loser of this weekend, winners and losers. Obviously, we'll get to Will Smith as the winner of the weekend. This is a bad weekend for Chris Rock because this was America standing up and saying, we support the slapper, and Chris Rock getting slapped don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. I do think that if you're Chris Rock and you're seeing these numbers coming, because if this movie comes in at 38 million, 44 million, I think Chris Rock is fine. But coming in at 56 million with those demo breakdowns of 36% black at the audience, this is a bad weekend to be Chris Rock because this guy did slap you.
He did.
And he is still the biggest movie star in the world right now.
Yeah, I hear you. But do we have the numbers on Chris Rock's last special, right? I'd imagine there was a significant bump there. So,
but that's Streamo. That's Streamo.
That's Streamo. Okay. We don't know. No, at DO Boys, we don't care about Streamo.
I mean, the numbers I have in front of me that Clayton has too is the box office history of Mr. Chris Rock. And it's pretty dismal. I mean, I'm just throwing out here recent history. May of 2021, Chris Rock starring in a Saw movie, Spiral from the Book of Saw.
That's not fair.
That movie made a total of $23 million.
Yeah.
He almost buried Saw. We almost did not have Saw X, the second best Saw movie of all time, because of Chris Rock. Now, Steve, I know you're being very you want to be respectful, and I understand that.
Yes.
But I feel like I have to step in here as a BO boy. And this is part of my mea culpa.
Yeah.
Is that the fact that I ever chose someone with the box office history of Chris Rock over one of the biggest grossing all-time stars to ever walk the face of the planet is disgraceful. I am ashamed of myself. I feel great and deep shame because for the last 2 years, I have sat here and I have said, Will Smith is done. He's going to be co-starring with Frank Grillo. He is going to be he's going to be at Mel Gibson level of disgrace. I sat here and those words came out of my mouth. My mouth.
Last week we talked about the possibilities. We ran through with Podcast Jesus, Kirk Minahan, whether Will Smith would soon be starring in movies with Charisma Carpenter. Whether Will Smith and Chad Michael Murray would be in Two-Handers as hitmen together.
Yes, Mark Paul Gosselaar's name came out of my mouth. These things happened, and I'm here to say that I was wrong. I was wrong. Okay.
And it takes a big man to admit that he was wrong. And
thank you.
But
I am a big man.
Yeah, you are a huge dude. We don't know. Yeah, we can't see it on camera, but you're about 250.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah. Here, I mean, I think this is a cautionary tale. This is where I would caution us to not be prisoners of the moment, right? And in our minds, the slap is still fresh, right? Because we all love Chris Rock, box office notwithstanding. He's had his challenges there, and as a BO boy, I'd be foolish to ignore all that. He's had his challenges at the box office, but I'm not going to stand here and say that I don't love Chris Rock. I still love Chris Rock.
Okay.
But I think there was a tendency to I don't know, denigrate Will Smith, throw dirt on his grave, assume that he was no longer the box office force that he was. And I would say that this predates the slap even. That, sure, Bad Boys for Life did great. He put out a couple of Oscar baity movies that weren't going for the BO anyway. But when we look at those numbers, we see them come in. we don't see the 300 million box office. We don't see the 100 million opening weekend, and we didn't see that for long enough. Where I think we forgot who he was. We forgot that this man owns the summer. We forgot about Big Willie Summer. We haven't heard a new Big Willie rap song in long enough,
right,
to forget about Big Willie Summer. So I think it's just it's a cautionary tale. Let's not be prisoners of the moment. Let's love Chris Rock, and let's love Will Smith. Let's acknowledge Chris Rock's shortcomings at the box office, and let's celebrate Will Smith's successes. That's
now Steve, you're being very even-handed, and I respect that.
But Clayton, I will say though, Clayton, right now, if we pile on to Chris Rock, then what we're doing is not learning the lesson that Steve Bossou is just trying to teach us, which is do not get so wrapped up into the moment. Because it is true, Chris Rock right now looks like the biggest loser on the planet. The man got slapped on national television, live national television. Can't stress that enough. And the man who slapped him just opened a movie to $56 million. So right now we look at it, and listen, mea culpa. I just said this about 4 minutes ago. I called Chris Rock the loser of the weekend. And maybe what I need to have is what Steve Bossou just said, have some perspective. Don't live in the moment. So I'm going to mea culpa right now. Mea culpa, mea culpa. I was burying Chris Rock just a minute ago because right now he looks like the biggest doofus in the world. But you know what? And he's not a box office star. He's got the shortcomings, but let's not jump the gun here. I'm going to let him crawl out of the dirt. I'm going to let Chris Rock crawl out of the dirt right now. So that's my mea culpa.
So
now, do you have a mea culpa, Clayton, or you're ready to pile on? Okay.
No. So here's what I'm going to say about living in the moment.
Okay.
Is that I do agree with what you're saying, Steve, and that's very, you are enlightened. You're an enlightened person.
Yeah.
At the moment, I don't feel so enlightened. I feel very viscerally excited and amped up by the performance of this movie, but not only the performance of this movie, Pat and I saw this movie.
Yeah.
And the rapturous response from the crowd and how into it we were and how great Martin Lawrence was in this.
Fantastic.
And how Will Smith was all the way back.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie, I turned to Pat and I said, he's all the way back. I cannot believe I ever doubted him. And this is what I'm going to say. This was in the moment. So we're going to talk about something I said in the moment. I'm not saying this now. I turned to Pat and I said, you know how Will Smith should celebrate this? Is that he should go to Chris Rock's house and he should slap him for every million above what Sony was calling for this movie, which is $30 million. Right. So therefore, tonight, Will Smith should be at Chris Rock's house and should be slapping Chris Rock 26 times. Correct? Yeah. Is my math correct there?
That would be correct.
And then Monday, when the Monday actuals come in, he knocks on the door Monday morning, gives him 2 extra slaps or a slap and a half, whatever. Now, that was my visceral reaction to what happened. So I was living in the moment. Do I think that should happen now? I mean, we've seen the viral video of Will showing up at the theater in Crenshaw and being engulfed by fans who want to touch this man, who want to be next to this man and steal a moment with one of the greatest stars and one of the forever stars. That went viral. Yeah. Imagine the camera crews following him around. We're like, where's Will going? Is he going to another movie theater? Oh no, he's in the hills. Well, he's not in the hills. I don't know where does Chris Rock live? Does he live in the valley? Who knows? So he goes and he's knocking on a door and Chris Rock answers the door. I mean, that's a viral video. So right there, I just think the virality of that would be amazing. Do I think it should happen now? No, I'm in a better place. But what I want to say is that reaction that I had in the moment speaks to what a phenomenon this is and how much people love this man and how doubters, which I was one of. I was one of the most vocal doubters. Would sit there and say, well, people aren't going to, he disrespected the Oscars and the slap. How could you dare do that? Like, I am so different now. I am a changed man now.
And I love how, Clayton, you were doing, and you haven't done this in years and years, doing your infamous white guy voice just there.
Yes,
I love seeing you break that out again. Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic.
One of my classic voices.
Yes. That you may or may not really be allowed to do because you're a SAG member in bad standing and you haven't paid your dues. So I don't know if we're going to catch any SAG blowback for you doing your infamous white guy voice, but we're willing to take that on. So I think let's focus then on the positivity for Will Smith that's happening. And you mentioned the video. Steve, have you seen this video of Will Smith? You've seen this. And I know I got emotional. How did you feel watching that video of Will Smith at the movie theater, being engulfed in fans?
You can't help but be happy for the man. I mean, I woke up today and it's at the top of my Black Twitter feed is him being surrounded by fans, being adoration, being shown adoration by the people who love him the most, which are movie fans. If you love movies, you love Will Smith. End of story. And you will celebrate Will Smith's successes, especially if you love the box office. Then you're going to love Will Smith. Think like this man has been doing so much for the box office for the last 30, 40 years. I mean, you could probably name two people who have done more for the box office than Will Smith, right? Like he is Mr. Box Office. He owned several summers throughout the 90s. To the point where we named summers after him. These were big Willie summers. So what you're seeing is a man showing up to a movie theater and being surrounded by the people who love movies, and them showing their gratitude. And I mean, everyone, we're all flawed, right? Like let he who has not slapped someone cast the first slap. Right? So who hasn't been slapped and who hasn't slapped? Right. So yeah, I mean, if you want to argue that the Oscars are some event where someone cannot be slapped, then I think you have to ask yourself was someone doing something that deserved to be slapped?
That I mean, not to get back to Chris Rock, but I think that is the consensus of this weekend.
Yes,
is that people said Chris Rock deserved that slap. I think that is clear. Whether Chris Rock, should not be forgiven. Sure, of course, he's Chris Rock. People love him. We love him. But I think America said, he needed a little tap, and we're fine with it. And the Oscars is a place where slaps could happen. I think that you brought that up, Steve, and I think we've all agreed now there can be slapping at the Oscars. So if you feel the need to slap, go ahead and slap. I think that's fair.
So, Chris Rock invoked his joke was old. We all know G.I. Jane is an old reference. But here's the thing. I mean, this guy would love to have a box office performance like G.I. Jane. He's talking about a movie that made 48 domestic. Now, it wasn't a huge hit, but I mean, let's look at his box office history. Top 5 made 25. Like, other than voice acting stuff where people aren't going for him, his movies don't make that. Death at a Funeral, 42 million, right? And so I Think I Love My Wife, 12 million. I mean, I could go on and on. Head of State, 37 million. Bad Company, 30 million.
So again, this guy, I'm gonna stop you, Clayton, from burying Chris Rock. It's about positivity. Mea culpa, mea culpa.
Okay,
we're moving past Chris Rock.
Can I be positive
stuff.
then? Can I be positive?
Please be positive.
Now I realize this is a very
weekend. Be positive.
Okay. I would like to, as the member of the BO Boys, the Caucasian member of the BO Boys, the Caucasian person who is right now on the show.
Right.
Can I say to the 30%, not the 30% of whites and Caucasians that went to see this movie, can I talk to the 70% who didn't?
Okay.
Am I able to do that?
Sure.
What I want
I
to
don't know
say
if that's
is,
how the math works, though. I don't think it's 70% of white people
let me
didn't go
cook.
see
You
this
not,
movie.
Steve, do you see him
Cook,
not
cook.
letting me cook? Do you see
Yeah,
him
this-
slapping the pan and the spatula
You're
out
right.
of my hand while I'm trying to
This
cook?
this man is in his bag. Yeah, let him
Thank you.
cook.
Thank you, sir. What I want to say is,
Mhm.
get over it, huh? I'm
Mhm.
over it. Go see this movie. All right. This is the
Mhm.
sort of movie you want to see. It is a non-superhero action movie that is funny and dramatic. And there's parts where people stood up and cheered. I'm not going to give them away. They are everything that you would want in a summer movie. It is June. It is hot as fuck outside. You know you get hot. You know you get sweaty. Get into that air conditioning and see a great blockbuster. Don't be a puritanical dipwad like I was. All right. I know a lot of us raised Catholic. We have the guilt. We want to shame everybody for doing things wrong. Like Steve said, who has not slapped somebody? Who has not thought about slapping somebody? Here's the thing. Go see this movie. You will enjoy it and get over it. Get over it
Get
is
over
what
it.
I want
Yeah.
to say.
And America has gotten over it. This was such an overperformance here. And when it comes to Will Smith now, because obviously the nightmare scenario is not happening. This is not Will Smith transitioning into modern Mel Gibson or late stage Bruce Willis. It's not going to be Will Smith having to suffer the indignity of being paid $1 million a day to be on set for some straight to Redbox movie. He is still a movie star.
Casper
And
Van Dien is at his home,
right.
probably in proximity to Chris Rock's house, and because they probably live in the same neighborhood. And he's thinking, damn it, I had a
Right.
chance to maybe co-star in an action film shot in Bulgaria with Will Smith, and now I don't. And you know what?
Right.
I don't want people to be sad. I'm not asking for people to be sad, but it is a good thing that Casper Van Dien is sad this weekend, right? This Thomas Jane is sad. These men are sad. Charisma Carpenter, as you said, Tara Reid, they are sad. Famke Jensen is sad because
Right.
they will not be able to be in a movie with Will Smith now.
These are the big losers this week. Is the Casper Van Diens, is the Famke Jensens, is the Frank Grillos. These are the people who should be shedding tears. I'll argue Chris Rock can walk around with his head held high. He'll drop another special next year, cracking some more jokes, and we'll watch it and we'll love it.
We all love Tambourine. We all love Tambourine.
Oh, beautiful. What a beautiful special.
But Will Smith, because of this huge opening weekend, his stock has not dropped so low that now he has to star in a film with Chris Rock. So that is the one area where Chris Rock lost this weekend, is that he doesn't get to star in a direct to DVD, direct to Redbox movie with Will Smith, because Will Smith is still a giant movie star. And I mean, what do we see going forward for Will Smith coming off of this opening weekend? I mean, are we going to get a new, Clayton, you and I talked about some possibilities. Do we see an I Am Legend sequel finally happening? I know Independence Day resurgence without Will Smith really damaged that franchise, but I still think there's a way, if you make the budget work, that a Will Smith coming back to the ID4 franchise is a giant event. And so I think that's a possibility. I think things like, I don't remember what the ending of iRobot was, but with AI being everyone's, most feared thing today, I think iRobot 2 could happen. We went back and forth at BOHQ whether Hitch 2 is a possibility, but I do think you're going to see Will Smith reignite some old franchises. I mean, is there anything that you guys could see after this 56 million, Hollywood coming to Will Smith and saying, we need you to get back in the the space suit, get back in the tuxedo or the suit for Men in Black, maybe. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
where do we see Will Smith taking this 56 million? I mean, obviously Bad Boys 5 has got to happen. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
soon, but
Mm-hmm.
that's got to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've talked, we were talking, like you said, about Independence Day. I think that's off the table because that is now under the Disney umbrella. I just don't think they could feasibly make a movie that would be smart budget wise, to play off of the last one. If they're going to act as if the last one happened, maybe they act as if the last one didn't happen.
Well, you
Who
could
knows?
always, like we said, in the last one, Will Smith's character gets killed off screen in a test run.
Milk
Obviously,
run.
obviously, Will Smith's character did not die in a
No,
test. He's
it's
captured by
conspiracy.
aliens. So it's
Yeah.
like there's your hook for the next ID movie. I think that has got some possibility. I know the budget thing is tough because those movies have to be so large scale. But
I think Men in Black is good. I mean, I think all the ones you mentioned, the only thing is Hitch. I don't see maybe Hitch 2. Because I do think he's going to go the Tom Cruise route, which is Tom Cruise has almost specifically been in action movies since his sort of coming back from his a little bit of disgrace, jumping on the couch and calling Matt Lauer glib. And, again, a gentleman who has been vindicated. But I do think that the action route is the way for him to go because there's just only a few people who can do what he does. And this has shown that we will watch 20 more years of action movies with Will Smith.
yes, and he still looks great. I mean, the man
great.
looks same he did at 25 at 35. There's been no deterioration there in Will Smith's face or body. So, is there anything, Steve, that the community is looking for from Will Smith going forward? What do you think the community wants to see out of him? Is there a sequel they want? Is there maybe something fresh that we don't know about that everyone's been saying, all right, Willie's on top. This is what we want to see him do. What do you think the community calls for when it comes to the future of Will Smith?
I'd say Black Twitter and Twitter at large largely love sequels, or they love franchises. They love people coming back from the dead. I like the idea of a Will Smith. He's somewhere in an alien spaceship, or they've got his DNA somehow, and he's been cloned, and now he's coming back. I love that. I love the idea of a Men in Black sequel. Pair up Will Smith with the new young hottie of the day, whoever that may be.
Yeah.
I think I think these all work. But I think to your point, action is the key. Is we want to see Will Smith fight for us. We want to see him defend our world. This is the man we choose to defend our universe. And here's who, if aliens did come down and we had to pick one human on Earth to be our representative, to meet the aliens, to have that first contact. I think Will Smith is somewhere near the top of the list. Right?
Him and Joker. It's him, Leo, and Joker. Those are the three guys that if someone has to fight the aliens, we're tossing a flipping a coin between Will Smith and Joker. Yeah.
Now, can I? Again, I know we want to be positive, and this is a triumph for Will Smith.
Yeah,
but I have to go
back.
back.
Culpa episode. It's a mea culpa.
It's an historic episode, and it's just going to be historic for a lot of reasons. And I'm about to do something historic for the BO boys here.
Oh, wow.
And we've been teasing this, and we've been talking about this, but I feel comfortable now to do this. We were talking about Furiosa. Okay. And I was telling the contingent of people who were the Puritans on Twitter, these scolds, these Twitter scolds, who are saying, Will Smith, we can't because of what he did. Again, I said, it's over. get past it. You also need to stop acting as if Chris Hemsworth. Yes, I am saying his name. Chris
Wow.
Hemsworth. I am tempting fate. Chris Hemsworth. You can now stop pretending he is what you want. You can stop acting as if, oh, well, he's so handsome, but he's also funny. And look what he can do, blah, blah, blah. You don't want him. You've proven it with your dollars.
Mhm.
We're proving who we want to see. Will Smith is a star. Chris Hemsworth, yes, I'm saying his name, is not what you want, and it's okay.
It's
You've
okay.
given
Yeah.
him chances. It is okay. The man will be okay. You don't have to go on Twitter and say, well, he's got everything. I don't understand. You do understand. You don't want it. You just don't. And that's
Right.
okay. And what you want is you want a bona fide star, and that is Will Smith. And let's not put Martin Lawrence
Let's
in the
talk Martin
junk bin.
Lawrence. Yeah.
He is so, and again, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. How many times do I have to say it? I sat here and was talking about his physical appearance and how he looked like he couldn't stand and all these different things. And the man brought it in
Mhm.
this movie. He was so funny. There are runs in this where he's talking, especially in no spoilers, obviously,
Yeah.
where he's talking about how they were partners in past lives.
Oh,
Him
incredible.
and Will Smith. There is an incredible bit where
Yeah.
they're talking about where Martin Lawrence's character is talking about how him and Mike Lowry were bonded for all their past lives. And it is one of the funniest things that I've seen in a movie in like 5 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
there's the whole subplot, the jokes we were making about how his diet is a big thing. It pays off in this movie.
Pays
Like,
off. Yeah.
I'm not, to talk about drinking the Kool-Aid. I am not drinking the Kool-Aid here. He is truly, truly funny in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And caveat on this being the funniest thing you've seen in a movie in 5 years. That's also, though, we do have to note that The War with Grandpa was not seen by us in theaters. So we don't count The War with Grandpa as one of the funniest things you've seen in 5 years because we only saw that on its home release. So that doesn't count. But I agree. Martin Lawrence was tremendous in this. And, you look at his box office pass. Obviously, he's not Will Smith, not even close. But this is a man who, even aside from the Bad Boys movies, has had his hits and his hit franchise. I mean, this is Big Mama's House movies. 2 of those movies were huge hits. This is a guy who's had Wild Hogs, who's had Black Knight, who had Blue Streak, made $68 million in 1999. I mean, this is a man whose career has given us hit movies. Aside from just the Bad Boys movies, he is if not a movie star, one of the great value adds in modern cinema. And so today we stand up for Martin Lawrence and all he's done. And I hope he makes 5 more Bad Boys movies between now and the time when I am, kicked off of the side of the earth. Which is how I want to go. I want to be fully thrown off the planet.
But Pat, in 2002, Martin Lawrence put out his famous stand-up special, Run Tell That, in theaters.
Yep.
Something Chris Rock has never done. Chris Rock has never had a theatrically released comedy special, probably because of no interest, or little interest, or small amount of interest. $19 million this man made at the theaters for a stand-up special in 2002.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that is impressive.
Yep. The team up with Eddie Murphy. Now, these are movies this is an old run, but 25 years ago, Life with Eddie Murphy, $64 million, of course, had the infamous cornbread scene in it. Classic scene. So Martin Lawrence, and of course, if you haven't seen it already, find it, on Daily Motion or on one of those websites. you have to see his SNL monologue, of course. You know, we're not TV guys, huh? But the infamous Martin Lawrence SNL monologue, which
Wash your ass.
I do think today you could release that in theaters as like a Fathom event, and it would do probably better than whatever the fourth weekend of Furiosa is going to do. I think if you just released Martin Lawrence's SNL monologue and maybe the following week, the James Downey voiceover that they use in syndication in that episode, I think that as a Fathom event grosses more than Furiosa. I think that would happen.
Can we also quickly, sorry, because we're being positive.
Well, while we're being positive, I do want to get Steve's take. Martin Lawrence. Okay. How much do you think he added to the success of this Bad Boys? It's not just a Will Smith show, right? What do you think Martin Lawrence added here?
Well, it's Bad Boys, plural, right? Right, Pat. Without you, what is it? B.O. Boy, like and
exactly. Yeah. Without me, the show is nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Right.
Right. But it's a team. We're going to see the Bad Boys, plural. So without Martin Lawrence, there is no Bad Boys. And so if we were partitioning credit here, you got to give Martin Lawrence his due. He gets 50%. Big Willie gets 50%. That's wow. As far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned.
So we're not divvying up the millions, which is one of our things that we do. Signature segments. We're not going to do that. We just don't have time. I do think at some point we will divvy up the millions for this at the end of its domestic run. I think, Pat, we do have to do that.
We do have to do that. Yes.
We will keep that in mind. Steve, when we do divvy up the millions, TM are restricted.
Yeah,
I think the portions should be
a registered
equal.
Trademark.
Yeah.
So we do have to take that. I mean, Steve is dropping the perspective on us, so we will take that into account when we divvy up the millions someday for Bad Boys Ride or Die. I mean, just going to note it though, as a cheap plug here, at the BO Boys Live in Los Angeles on October 8th, we will be live on stage divvying up the millions for Joker Folly You Do. So that is, you buy your ticket now, you are guaranteed to see for the first time ever a live on stage divvying up of the millions. That will happen. But we cannot divvy up the millions for Bad Boys Ride or Die right now at this moment.
And I would say, unlike Bad Boys, we need to make sure that there's not a ton of walk-up business. You got to buy ahead of time. 72% walk up is good for a Bad Boys movie. It's great for them, but it's not good for us. So buy your tickets early. What I wanted to say positively also is this is a redemption story, not only for Will Smith, but there are two very talented gentlemen behind the lens of this film.
Okay.
Who had some bad luck with Warner Brothers, the studio that brought you Furiosa, movie that no one wanted. Who put their Batgirl, Batgirl in the vault with The Day the Clown Cried, with Glitterati, in the vault, never to be seen, with Acme versus Coyote. These two gentlemen directed the hell out of this movie. They made it look like a Bad Boys movie. They gave you all of the sort of kinetic, frenetic action you wanted. And these two gentlemen should be celebrating this weekend because they are back on top.
Yeah, and I will say their names, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. Those are the directors of Bad Boys for Life and now Bad Boys Ride or Die. And we saw this film. They are maniacs. They are complete gonzo maniacs. Every single shot is the craziest thing you've ever seen, but it all makes sense. This is not one of those movies where I don't know where anyone is. It all makes sense, but every shot is on a turntable or it turns into like a nightmare sequence or it's on the drone. There's an incredible fight sequence that's all home security cameras that Martin Lawrence is doing sort of a Mystery Science Theater 3000 commentary on as it's happening. It is a bananas display of maniacs directing a movie, going full tilt. This movie cannot have been locked in a vault. Bad Boys Ride or Die, if you tried to put that in a vault, it would completely explode the vault, and the Jerry Lewis Holocaust Clown movie would start walking out and running the streets. This could not have been contained in a vault with their Batgirl movie. This was bananas.
And Pat, you saw In a Violent Nature, which you loved, but you complained a little bit that it wasn't more like Hardcore Henry, your beloved Hardcore Henry, which you said was the future of movies. Yeah, there is a segment of Bad Boys, this Bad Boys 4, that is POV, first person shooter, Hardcore Henry style, because they knew you were sitting there in the audience and you needed that and you wanted that.
Yeah, they gave us everything. So full... I would say on behalf of Hollywood, mea culpa to these directors, RB and Fala. They killed it in this movie, just totally out of their minds, and we love them for it. So, yeah, here's something I want to throw out there. On our last episode, Podcast Jesus, Kirk Minahan, he didn't predict this high, but he predicted the highest out of all of us. He went, I think, 49 million on this movie. Said it would open big. And then he said it would drop like a stone after that. And I got to say, that all made sense to me last week. I think now this movie is going to hold pretty well. I think it's a really good movie that people like. I think all of the buzz around it is so positive. And next weekend is Father's Day weekend. And my God, Bad Boys Ride or Die is a poppin' son movie if there ever was one. Take your pop to see this.
Oh, I love that Pixar, again, I don't really speak well of Pixar, but Pixar is putting out their movie in the Father's Day corridor, as they always should have. Thank you very much, Toy Story 4, the reason I've never seen that movie. I think that is going to be such a big weekend, because you're going to get both. Because we're seeing with If and Garfield that there is so much hunger for kids movies that this Inside Out 2 is going to go bananas. The dads are going to want to see Bad Boys because they've heard such good things about it. I mean, I think it's going to be a big weekend next weekend.
Yeah. It's summertime, and Steve, you said it. This is the king of the summer, and he has officially kicked off summer 2024, and next weekend is going to be a big cartoon and a big action movie at the top. And my God, that is what summer is all about. So, Steve, do you think that Will Smith, that Bad Boys Ride or Die is going to clean up on Father's Day weekend? Do you see, again, within the community, fathers and sons making it a point to next weekend, we have to get together and we've got to celebrate Big Willie?
I can't think of any better way to show your dad how much you appreciate him than by celebrating another dad, Will Smith, one of the most prominent fathers in America, celebrating Father's Day with him. I can't think of any better way to spend the Father's Day. And if your dad's already seen the movie, he'll see it again.
He probably forgot about it already because, listen, their minds are getting it. It's sad, but it is what it is. And he'll forget he saw and loved Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Right. Yeah. Because if you were 30, 35 when the first Bad Boys premiered, then you're pushing senior citizen at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're getting that discount. You're getting however much, like a couple bucks off your ticket. You might as well see it again.
Yeah.
Now, since we haven't been able to talk to you, Steve, about some of the other movies playing right now, what is the community's take on Garfield? Because Garfield's sort of doing really well. Didn't open huge, but holding. Is there a take? Is there a take on Garfield?
I haven't seen much of a take on Garfield. I think I personally I'm confused by this whole Garfield situation. I thought we'd left Garfield in the past. I wasn't looking forward to the Garfield movie personally. I don't know a lot of people who are talking about it, but clearly someone's seeing it.
Right.
Someone's out buying these tickets.
So, would the community have responded bigger, or do you think would there be community interest in a Heathcliff movie?
Heathcliff is a bit more hip to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, the fact that we haven't seen a Heathcliff movie, that makes me wonder how much of an appetite there is for it. I personally would line up for Heathcliff before I line up for Garfield, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I think you'd see a lot more buzz or excitement from Black Twitter for Heathcliff. Maybe that's a function of just we haven't seen it before.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't recall a Heathcliff movie. If there was, it was like maybe a straight to video.
So there was a Heathcliff the movie from 1986, domestic box office $2 million.
Okay.
But that seems like maybe a cartoon that snuck its way from television sets into theaters, if anything.
I mean, this is like the Tom and Jerry movie that was released by Miramax that we really couldn't count that as a legitimate Tom and Jerry movie. Obviously, the real Tom and Jerry movie. Yeah, the real Tom and Jerry movie was the one that basically reignited the box office during COVID.
Yes.
And let us know that, we are still, the youngsters, Gen Z, are the Tom and Jerry generation.
I'm going to throw this out there because we're talking about future roles for Will Smith. I mean, obviously live action, that's where it's at, action movies, but he's also had a giant hit as the voice in Shark Tale. Could Will Smith as Heathcliff be a giant hit that just makes Garfield sniff its dust, or sniff its kitty litter? Could Will Smith as Heathcliff leave Garfield in the kitty litter? I could see that being a possible move. When you look at the top two movies this weekend, Will Smith at the top, Garfield number 2. Let's figure out a way of kind of putting them together. Will Smith in a Heathcliff movie.
I think we need to give it a shot. We need to try. Let's see. We haven't seen it before. That's kind of my thing. It's why not put these things together? These things that people love. I mean, we've proven that we love Will Smith. Well, the box office results have shown it. Box office results have also shown that we love cartoon cats.
Yeah.
So let's see. And just thinking back, I don't know. I personally would relate more to a Heathcliff because I'm a Brooklyn kid. Garfield's always, I don't know. It's like a suburban kind of.
He's pampered.
Pampered. Yeah. Whereas Heathcliff, he's like, he's got an edge to him, and and so it's like, and why not use this, a man who's proven that he can open. He's been in the Shark Tale. He can prove, he's proven that we won't just watch Will Smith. We'll gladly sit there and listen to him.
Yes. I mean, a musician, you're right. It's exactly. We will pay to listen to Will Smith. Yes. So I think and he could record all of Heathcliff the movie in 2 days. He could do that on voice memos while he's on set for ID4 Part 3. So I think that's a very possible next step for Will Smith. So listen, I think quickly, because God, we haven't mentioned this movie. The Watcher is open this weekend from Warner Brothers. Horror movie from the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan. Open to 7 million. I mean, horror with this level of promotion, you would have thought 10 million is the floor. But honestly, I think Bad Boys Ride or Die just sucked up all of the life and the excitement this weekend. People did not want to see anything new other than Bad Boys. And I think that's kind of where this movie just got trampled by Will Smith. And what could you do? It's not even failure of this movie as much as it was this weekend was all about kids seeing kids movies, and then everyone else just wanted to see Bad Boys. But do you guys have anything different? Do you think The Watchers is a failure at 7 million, or it's kind of a shrug?
I mean, I think it's a failure, definitely. I mean, the post-track shows that people did not enjoy this movie. But what I would say is, M. Night had his, he had a movie that did not do well when he first started out. So what I would say is, his first movie wasn't Sixth Sense. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's the first movie we know him for. But I will say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here.
Right.
This may not have hit. I don't think we have to just say, oh, no M. Night daughter movies. No, thank you. I do think, today, don't be too sad. You got a movie out there. It'll probably do good on Streamo, but you got trampled by a movie star. You had Dakota Fanning in your movie. It's so hard for somebody like Dakota Fanning to go up against someone like Will Smith. It just wasn't fair.
Right.
And so, it's those things happen. Bad timing, and the movie, it didn't resonate with them, but Bad Boys resonated with people, and that's just the way it goes.
So I like what you did, Clayton, because not a lot of people speak up for nepo babies getting second, third chances. A lot of people right now, they would say nepo baby, one and done, and you're out. But
she should get as many chances as she wants.
Yeah. And you know what? I applaud you for taking that brave stance that Ashana Night Shyamalan should get a second, third, fourth, fifth chance. Nepo babies, do not do that to them.
No.
And just throw them away after one failure.
Just because you're
multiple failures, they should
Pat,
be allowed.
Just because you're born on third base doesn't mean it isn't difficult to get home.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're seeing you and they're thinking they're going to run home. Right? When you're on first base or you're in the dugout, they're not worried about you scoring a run. Right. Because they think it's so far off in the distance. They're looking at you on third and they're like, I'm going to get you. I'm tagging you out.
Right.
That's what being a nepo baby is. So think about that, everybody.
Think about that. Yeah. There's nothing harder than being born on third base. And they should get multiple chances to steal home.
It's such a short distance to have to sprint.
Yeah.
The momentum, it's hard to get the momentum.
So, guys, we have really covered this, but there's one last thing I wanted to throw to Steve on, because before we got on the air, Steve and I were chatting it up in BOHQ at the water cooler, and we've got the live tour coming up, but Steve presented me with a idea that he wants to run by the BO Boys, a business opportunity. So, Steve, what do you think? Tell us what your proposition is for the BO Boys.
I mean, well, first of all, I mean, I'm looking forward to these live shows. I think these are going to be the events of the year for those of us who love the box office. So I'm expecting rousing success. And what's going to happen is the public, the BO public, they're going to be clamoring for more. They're going to be clamoring for more access to the BO Boys. When can we next see the BO Boys? We want more BO Boys. So we're just kicking around ideas for the next BO event, and I would like to propose a BO Boys presents the Cookout. It just makes a lot of sense. I mean, summer's here. It's Cookout season. Beautiful weather all over the country. I'll bring my DVD of Tyler Perry presents the Cookout or Master P presents, and we'll stream it for the folks. We'll get it going on the big screen.
Wow.
And I think the interest will be there. I think the BO public will be clamoring just for more live events, more BO Boys.
I love this. I mean, Clayton, this is obviously something we have to get the financiers in on. I think the interns have to crunch some numbers. Wannabe senior intern Christopher, wannabe junior intern Jack, who is on a sabbatical now, but he'll be back in the mix soon. And of course, the financiers, the lawyers, the accountants. But I think a summertime BO Boys the Cookout to sort of launch the season before we go on tour in the fall. I mean, this could be huge. This could be huge. Obviously it would take place in New York City, but and we would need, of course, Steve to help us produce this cookout. I don't know about you, Clayton, but I've never produced a official cookout before.
I have not either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think this is where I can bring my cookout expertise to bear. So yeah, I'm with it. Let's do it.
Yeah. VO Boys the Cookout this summer. I mean, it's very tasty. It's a tasty possibility. And we get some dogs, we get some burgers, throw some chicken on the grill, some corn on the cob, and we sit around and we all talk BO out there. And we blast some movies out there. We blast Master P's the Cookout, and I think that could be huge. A huge way to sort of kick off before the tour starts.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just looking at the BO for the cookout. Sorry.
You're looking at the BO for the BO for the cookout. Yeah, I mean, could we get? Are there any stars from the 2004 film The Cookout that might be available at this point to cameo out of the BO Boys and Steve Bosu present The Cookout? I mean,
so $11 million, not too shlabby, as they say.
Not too shlabby, no.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Latifah probably couldn't get her. Danny Glover probably couldn't get her. Or him,
No.
I'm sorry, Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Farrah Fawcett, I mean, cannot.
Probably cannot, no.
Yeah. Frankie Faison. Possible.
That's a possibility. I'm going to throw out Ja Rule, who played Bling Bling in The Cookout. I think that's, I'm not guaranteeing it, but I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility. I mean, Steve, you tell me, do you think there's any chance Ja Rule makes an appearance at a Steve Bosu and the BO Boys present The Cookout this summer?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and guarantee it.
Wow. Okay.
That Ja Rule
wow
will be present at the BO Boys the Cookout.
Wow.
Now, Steve,
I don't know how this is going to happen.
I do love your confidence, but should I just make some outreach to Jonathan Silverman's people just as a backup? Because I do think Jonathan Silverman would be a possibility. I mean, just butter him up with some talk about the single guy and how it's a sitcom that people have slept on, and why can't I get that on streaming, and why does Friends get all the love? I think I could maybe butter up Jonathan Silverman and get him to show up, because he is also a star of this film.
Yeah. I think we can cover all our bases there.
Okay.
Yeah, and reach out to as many folks as we can. I can't imagine why Ja Rule would not want to come to BO Boys the Cookout. It just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm effectively guaranteeing that Ja Rule.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
All right, so we're gonna get Jack and Christopher on it to start their outreach to Ja Rule and to Jonathan Silverman. They will be the ones who broker these deals. So this is very exciting. So guys, email us, of course, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know. Obviously, if you know or are Ja Rule and want to participate in the BO Boys and Steve Bosu present the Cookout, email us theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. We got a lot of emails from you guys that we'll get to on our next episode, our weekend preview episode. We'll get some emails. So email us theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, watch us on YouTube. We are YouTubers. Hey guys. So that is where you get the full story. If you're only listening to the podcast, you're only getting half the story. You got to watch us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Of course, Wannabe senior intern Christopher is killing it with the vertical clips on Twitter X and on TikTok. So follow us there at the BO Boys Pod. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Read the Substack. The Substack is back. Thanks to Wannabe junior intern Jack, who's on a sabbatical, but in his absence from writing his articles the last few weeks, I have picked up the pen and I've got article after article over these last 2 weeks. I'll be penning another one probably tomorrow about this weekend. And so go to the Substack, subscribe, all that stuff. The BO Boys Substack link in the show notes. Live tour, of course, the LA tickets are on sale for October 8th at the Yard Theater in Los Angeles. Then October 22nd, it's going to be New York City Parkside Lounge. Those tickets will be going on sale within the next few weeks. And of course, November 16th, it's going to be the Boston show with Kirk Minahan on stage with us for the whole show. Those tickets will also be going on sale very soon in Cambridge. And there's been some incorrect information out there that I've heard someone say on another podcast that the BO Boys show in Boston would not have alcohol served. That is a rumor going around, and we are here to make this clear. There will be alcohol served at our show in Cambridge. And in fact, it's mandatory. I am pushing for the largest drink minimum in the history of Boston live shows. So 2 drink minimum has been the norm, and I am pushing for that to be possibly quadrupled as far as drink minimums go. So the BO Boys live in Boston, in Cambridge, with Kirk Minahan, there will be drinks, and there will be mandatory drinks, and there will be more mandatory drinks than anyone could handle. So gotta make that clear for everyone. Crystal clear. And yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything left to say, guys. I think we've done it.
Pat, you said it all. There is nothing left to say.
No.
Except for until next time.
We'll smell you at the box office.
Nailed it.